Yo, how's it going, people? So I'm out here, East Coast Eddie, right now. I'm in Massachusetts, and yesterday I had a two-stop load from the UP, Michigan. One of the stops delivered to New Jersey. Oh my God, how are you gonna do that to us right now? See that? That's what I'm talking about. Well, I can't remember if they call those Fiats or Arbrests. I don't know. Anyways, doesn't matter. That's not the point of this video. Yeah, I had a delivery in New Jersey, and I had a delivery this morning in Massachusetts, and I made the delivery just fine to New Jersey yesterday, and I believe I was right on time, which kind of surprised me. I sort of expected to be early, but you know, I mean, I would have rather been early than just on time, but it is what it is. No, you can't come over here. Just gotta pay attention, you know what I'm saying? This guy's got his blinker on, passing me on the right now. Oh yeah, there you go, you turned it off. Anyways, so when I was going to New Jersey, I had to pass right underneath New York. And like I was just kind of sitting there, like, this is starting to look real New York-y around me. I don't really like this anymore. Like, this is kind of weird. Like I've been around New York. I'll be technical about it. I did not go into the city. I went around the city and over to, I believe it was Staten Island or something like that. I don't know. Someplace. It didn't seem like it was actually New York City, but it was, and I got paid for it. But yesterday passed under New York and made the delivery and came back up past New York again, and it was a long day. It was a long day. But today I've got to make it back into Connecticut and go pick up a load that I'm relaying, and then I'm going to Georgia, which should be pretty nice. I mean, I like Georgia. Georgia's cool. South is pretty cool. But yeah, why do truckers hate the East Coast? That's what we need to talk about here. And the way that I think about it is like this whole part of the United States, regarded as the East Coast. When you go north of North Carolina and you are east of Pennsylvania, you are on the East Coast. Like, that is real deal East Coast. North Carolina, South, that I regard that as the South, because there's nothing really crazy about that. I guess you could call that little area that I just described as the East Coast more of a New England. I'm pretty sure that's what they like to call it or whatever, but it is what it is. We're just going to call it the East Coast. And for me, I think about this place as it's just, everything is so tight. Everyone here is pissed and they're in a rush. That's the whole concept of this place. There's no space. No one's going to give you any space. And they're mad about it already. Like, they're just mad that you're here. But I mean, literally minutes before I press record on this joint right here, I was thinking, like, why don't truckers like coming out here? Like, you see companies that are like, no East Coast freight, or like, we only run certain regions and like East Coast is not one of them, or whatever. You know, like there's all kinds of technicalities. And, oh boy, here we go. I think we got some traffic slowing down up here. I just passed through here yesterday, but I forget what was going on this side of the interstate, and some slick son of a gun decided to steal my CB antenna. So I don't know if there's like a lane closure or whatever, but we'll just break it down. I'm in the middle lane, so I can go either which way. It's gonna be fine. But anyways, so why do truckers hate the East Coast? It's because it's stressful. It's very, like, everything about it is really, it's just difficult. The whole place is not easy. Like, prime example of this, just yesterday, I had to, oh, this is a good one, actually. So I had to make a right-hand turn to get to this. I mean, I was like under 2 miles away from the place I had to deliver to, so there was really no way around this, but I had to make a right turn, and I had no space to do it. I was in the right lane, and it was a tight corner, and of course, the dude that was sitting in the left-hand turn lane to my right, you know, in oncoming traffic, once I make that right-hand turn, he's just sitting there like, oh, beautiful day to be in New Jersey, or whatever. I don't know what he was doing. But I was like, this is not going to end up well, especially if we got a bunch of cars piling up over there. Like, it's really not going to be a good time. But that was the only guy there, and so I was like, okay, I'll just back you up, son. Like, I don't know what to tell you. So I swung that son of a gun wide and just kind of like stopped in front of his van, and like this is a common thing that I do. I mean, you gotta do what the heck you gotta do, you know what I mean? Like, you gotta go that way, you gotta go that way. And I mean, he looked at me like, wow, what are you doing? Like, you're an idiot. That's how he looked at me. And I was like, I kind of waved at him a little bit. Like, I was like, bro, I need to go that way. Like, I need you to back up. And, I mean, he eventually did back up, but he did not look happy about it. He was like, God, these truckers, they don't know how to drive nothing. Like, just a stupid redneck up in this truck. Or, I don't know what he was thinking, but surely it was something along those lines. Yeah, we do have a lane closure up here. Nice. But yeah, and then I made it past that, went up the street a little bit, made a left-hand turn, and that was where my delivery was. And wouldn't you know that the driveway to get in was not wide enough to get 2 cars to sit in that driveway together. Like, that's how wide of a driveway we were talking. So it's not built for trucks. And it was a 4-lane road with like a median in the middle, but it was still like paved road. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was just painted, and like it was just a turn lane in the middle of the road and all that. And of course, I messed up and did not swing wide enough. And I mean, my truck was in the driveway. I was like, okay, like, that's pretty good. Now let's like get the rest of this joint in here and call it good. But my trailer was looking to run over their shrubbery, which I didn't really feel too crazy about. So I stopped, obviously, and I'm like, well, is there, you know, like, the first thing that goes through my mind is, how can I get out of this going forward? And there was no answer to that. Yeah, get in here, buddy. There you go. That's the one. All right. But yeah, that was my first reaction, was like, how do I get out of this going forward? And of course, there's no way to get out of it going forward. So I'm like, okay, I guess we got to try this again. And if you keep in mind what kind of road that I was on, the the 4-lane with the turning lane median, we're not talking about like a back road that's not like there's nothing going on there. We're talking about like in the middle of the city. And so of course your boy had to back straight up through traffic and screw everyone's day up and try this thing again, and got it the second time. But I don't know, it was kind of funny actually. Like I was like, oh man, like I really messed up. And there was actually a cop there. A cop pulled up like a couple of seconds after I started backing up, and I was like, well, maybe he'll like stop traffic or something. But like he didn't even turn his lights on, he didn't get out, he didn't do nothing. And so I was like, well, then watch this, buddy. Like I'm just doing this, and like I don't know what to tell you. Like if you're gonna talk to me afterwards, like, hey, that was illegal as all hell. It's like, nah, yeah, probably, but like what else do you expect me to do? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, this is just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about. It's like how the East Coast is just tight. And that's the reason why truckers hate it, is because no one's going to give you the time of day, and you better be on your A game, because if you mess one thing up, everyone hates you. But for me, I think about it in a little bit of a different way. Unless I'm angry, and then I'm like, I don't want to come back here anymore. But no, I will always come back if that's where my load's going. That's where it's going. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But I think about it more as like this strange, like proving ground, almost. This whole East Coast portion. It's so difficult that you have to be good to actually make it out here. That's how I think about it. So like you can talk all this smack about how you done more miles than me going in reverse, but can you like work the East Coast properly? You know what I mean? Like I don't know. That's just how I rationalize it in my mind, because this place probably takes, let's just say a week and a quarter off your life in stress just in being out here. I mean, I don't know. I didn't like any of yesterday. It was I was happy to make it back to the sleeper. Let's just say that. Like, it was just a mess. But like, that's what's got to be done, and like, you're gonna do it. You know what I mean? Like, who was I listening to yesterday? Yeah, this was last night. I was listening to, and I think I listened to the podcast that was on Joe Rogan Experience with Jordan Peterson. That's what I'm talking about. And I guess he's a psychologist, or like a teacher of psychologist at some university or something like that. But he had a couple of videos out on YouTube, and I was like just checking them out. And like I don't know. I like understanding people, like how they think and stuff like that or whatever. But I don't know. I don't like people, but I'm fascinated with people. Like, why do they do the dumb stuff they do, and how come they're so weird? I don't know. But he had this thing about fear, and like I didn't make this connection until this morning. That was basically like the truckers that say they won't go to the East Coast fear the East Coast so bad that they won't go there. And his thing about it was like, you need to understand that fear that you feel about whatever is like an insecurity of like, I don't know if I've got this. You know what I mean? Like, he was like that was just how he explained it. It was basically, you're not sure if you could do something, so you just fear it, and if you never face it, then you're just going to live in the fear of it forever. And like, that's not how I'm trying to live my life. That's not how I'm trying to have a that's not how I'm trying to have a career as a driver, is in fear. Like for me, if I had to, like, let's just say that somehow I managed to get into this weird sort of cushy job where it was like, you're gone Monday to Friday, and all you do is you run like back and forth to, let's think here. No, you don't want to go past Chicago because that's a scary place too, am I right? But, yeah, go west. Let's say you like run back and forth to like past Minnesota or something like that. Like we're just gonna say as a for instance. Like that's just what you're doing. Like that's my cushy job or whatever, and I put that in quotes. But like you become so stagnant in your career that you're just not learning anything, and there's no challenge to it. If I had to do that job, I would become so bored and like so used to what I'm doing that I would not want to do it anymore. For me, then every time I get to do something new is what I enjoy. And if it's a difficult thing, it's funny because at the time you're like stressing hard, like let's think about it, like doing oversized loads and stuff like that, or like taking this East Coast load. You're like, oh man, like it's gonna be, sort of difficult, and like when you're there, you're like, oh man, this is pretty difficult. But then you look back at it and you're like, man, I did that. Like I made it, so I must be like good enough to make it. It's like, why would I need to be afraid of that? I don't know. This is just how I rationalize in my brain. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, why the truckers hate the East Coast. Let's wrap this boy up in a conclusion, boys and girls. Why do they hate the East Coast? It's because they fear the East Coast. And I mean, let's not get it wrong either. This place will jack up your whole week. And like even yesterday, I caught a violation because I was I did not plan ahead properly. And I mean, this is another thing about the East Coast, is there are not many truck stops, there are not many rest areas, and most of the truck stops that do have parking will be paid parking. And I ain't paying for parking out of nowhere. I'm going to be sleeping on a ramp before I pay for parking. And these, every other trucker knows that too. Like they feel the same way. So they'll fill up rest stops, they'll fill up every other truck stop that's, anywhere. So all of these truck stops fill up before 5 o'clock, like normal truck stops do. Normal truck stops fill up at 5 o'clock. So if you're out past 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, you're screwed out here. And that's what I knew. And I was like, the place that I stopped at for fuel was a paid parking place, and I was like, I'm not doing it. I'm just gonna keep going to my consignee, and now I'm gonna sleep there. And I mean, that's what I did. But in the process, I ran into a number of traffic jams and accidents and all sorts of weird stuff. So and then like at the end of the day, I had under 500 miles with 11 hours of driving, which means that I averaged which means that probably throughout the entire day I averaged 45 miles an hour, 43, I don't know. It's somewhere in there, like mid to low 40s or something like that. And that'll give you an idea of what my day was like yesterday. Was going slow and not really making much progress with the whole situation. But I don't know. For me, I don't like the East Coast either. I don't like it because it's, all of the above reasons. It's difficult. It's not time smart. It's just a weird place like that. But I think that it is important to understand how to work it. Like, that's all of that stuff fascinates me, where like you just figure out how to work a certain place and how to do things like the best you can. And like, oh, this guy, what do you think you're doing? See what I'm talking about here? Dude just thinks he's gonna come onto the interstate like that. But yeah, there you go. Prime example right there, East Coast. But I don't even remember where I was now. But yeah. Oh, I guess I might as well wrap it up. Pay attention a little better. But yeah, the East Coast, I don't think there's anything to be afraid of with it. And everyone says that it's like it's a hellhole, and it is. But I don't think there's anything to be afraid of with that. And I think that it's important to understand that this is like part of the job of a trucker, is coming out to spots that are not easy to operate and understanding how to operate them. So yeah, let me flick that once. Okay. But yeah, I'm gonna get the heck out of here and make it on down to a little spot in Connecticut. And yeah, I will catch y'all in the next one. Bye bye.